Hi everyone, welcome back to Somerset Place. Last time, Noah covered the 1981 Archaeological Field School. In the summer of 1982, about 20 undergraduate students from Duke University conducted another field school under the direction of Peter Wood, an associate professor at Duke, and Thomas Funk, State Historic Sites archaeologist. Other professionals from the Office of State Archaeology and the Department of Cultural Resources participated as well. Their goal was to study the plantation slave culture by finding the lost slave dwellings along the shore of Lake Phelps. They also sought to examine how black and white cultures interacted at Somerset Place and the links between regions, eras, ethnic groups, and disciplines. As in the previous year, the 1982 field school began with a one-week lecture series at Stagville. Before the students came to Somerset, Thomas Funk used aerial infrared pictures, a historic map, and this early 20th century photograph to estimate the location of the slave houses. Undergraduates then probed for remains of the buildings by inserting a long metal rod into the ground every foot to find anomalies. They created a map of each probe hit, examined it for patterns, and compared their findings to Funk's research. In this way, the students located the sites of all 26 slave dwellings listed in 1843. The first three buildings measured 20 feet by 40 feet. Continuing in a row beyond the larger structures were 23 one-room quarters with a single chimney. These houses measured 18 feet by 18 feet and were spaced approximately 20 feet apart. With housing locations documented, the field school concentrated their archaeological excavations on the first of the large slave dwellings, now known as the Suki Davis home. They followed the same method of digging as in 1981 by removing each layer of soil, screening the dirt, and bagging artifacts. But their excavations were haphazard and rushed, especially compared to the previous year. Students opened piecemeal squares and oddly shaped trenches in and around the building to document its brick foundation. They only fully excavated two 10-foot by 10-foot squares. The field school found that the building was a two-story I house. It had two rooms on each floor, separated by a central hallway with a brick chimney on each end. Based on the 1843 inventory, they determined each room housed an extended enslaved family. The students also excavated three adjacent drainage or irrigation ditches, which may have predated the building. Their digs uncovered thousands of artifacts, including animal bone, ceramics, clothing, glass, and metal. Unfortunately, the students' poor excavation practices and note-taking led to questionable data, simply due to their lack of experience. As in 1981, no project report was written, although one undergraduate student performed an independent study based on some of the archaeological findings. In the end, both field schools shed important light onto the lives of the enslaved community, which had previously been ignored. Names of enslaved people, like Suki Davis, can now be linked to the houses where they lived, and the everyday objects enslaved persons used pointed to a unique African and African American culture held together through the dehumanizing institution of slavery. However, it took another 2 decades of archaeological research and restoration before visitors could see tangible remains of enslaved life at Somerset Place. We'll discuss those projects in future videos. To learn more about how interpretations have changed at our site over the course of the 20th century, join us for our special guided tour, Somerset Place in the New South, offered on the third Saturday of every month at 1 p.m. or by reservation. Thanks for watching, and we hope to see you soon.